Shalom everyone, we are in Parashat VaYishlaḥ. You can find it in the book of Bereshit, Genesis chapter 32, verse 4. So, just to complete the previous parasha, Jacob leaves his home. He goes to Haran to find a wife. He comes back with four wives, 12 children, and Rachel is pregnant with the 12th son, Binyamin. So as they're approaching the Holy Land, that's how this parasha is starting. וישלח יעקב מלאכים לפניו אל עשיו אחיו ארצה שעיר שדה אדום. And Jacob sends angels, or you can read it messengers, in front of him to Isaf, his brother, to the land of Seir, Sde Edom, the field of Edom. Edom geographically is, the red rock, Petra. Red is Edom. That's the area that is eastern of the Dead Sea to the south of it. Okay, what is today the kingdom of Jordan? Okay, that's where Esau resided, not in the promised land. And the story goes on from now on, and I would like to start, before we go into the details, I want to go to the end. Because the story is like this, the famous story. Jacob is sending those messengers. Let's say we take both understanding of the word malachim, angels and messengers. Both are right in Hebrew, which means you're going into a very dangerous encounter, and you need to send angels of positivity in order to give you a protection, which means before you are experiencing a very challenging moment, if before that moment, for days or depends how long you're planning, you send positive angels by doing a lot of actions that generate positive angels, like charity, studying the Zohar, studying whatever, all kinds of actions that create positive energies. These create angels, so when you come to that challenging event, you have an army of angels protecting you. That's one aspect. But the physical aspect is what is detailed over here. He's really sending messengers to Esau, and he says, tell Esau, my brother, that I'm coming to visit him, to meet him, and I was with Lavan till now, and he's telling them, like a story. I had an ox, I had a donkey, I had sheep, and a slave, and a maidservant, and I wanted to find grace in your eyes. Okay, looks like he's telling like small talk. And the angels are coming back, the messengers are coming back to Jacob, and they say, we came to your brother, to Esau, and in return he's coming to welcome you with 400 warriors with him. Okay? Think about it. Jacob has 4 wives, 12 children, and now Esau, that hates his guts, he left the place because Esau wanted to kill him. Now he's coming with an army. It's not what it was before when he left home. Esau was by himself. Now he has an army of 400 warriors to fight him. Verse 8. Vayira Yaakov. Yaakov is in fear, but it says awe. Vayetzelo, he's stressed out. He splits the people with him into 2 camps. One camp with Rachel and her children. One camp with Leah and her children and the maids and the concubines. Okay? And he prays. And he prays to God. It's a long discourse about the whole thing, about the prayer, how important is prayer, because we learn from that. He's sending Esau presents, like amazing, very precious present. He's sending him so many, 200 200 goats, 20 he-goats, 200 sheep, 20 male sheep, then camels. We're talking about big numbers. The worth of it is huge. And he's sending them one herd after another, not all in one lump sum. And all of them is like he's saying, when you meet Isaf, tell him your servant, your brother's servant, is sending that as a gift, a token for your brother, Okay? But at that night, he has that encounter that he's fighting with the angel. The whole night, he wins, and the angel is giving him a blessing, and he's been naming him Israel, not Jacob. And Jacob means Yaakov. Yaakov in Hebrew is like, because he was holding to the akev of the heel of Esau when it came out. Now he's being named Israel, which is the letters of Li Rosh. Now you're the head. Okay, let's go on. It's not a very simple story. Then they meet. Jacob bows down to Esau 7 times. Esau is kind of appeased. They make peace. He doesn't kill anyone, although he meant to kill them. Okay? And he says, why are you giving so much? He said, I want to give it to you. Finally, their ways are separated. Esau goes back to his home in Edom, across the river, across the sea, the Dead Sea, and Jacob goes to his father. Okay, but on the way, he comes to Shechem. Over there, Dinah, Jacob's daughter, is being raped. Terrible story. They run away from there because there's a revenge. They kill the people of Shechem, and they run away because they fear revenge from the other people of the country. On the way, Rachel dies, giving birth to Benjamin. So, lots of troubles during this parasha. Finally, God appears to Jacob. He's blessing him. He's renaming him Israel. That's chapter 35 in Genesis, verse 10. And he's being blessed to be a host of nations. Kings are going to come out of your loins, and he makes another monument with a blessing. The story goes on like this till finally we have a very weird end for this parasha. At the end, chapter 36, verse 29, speaking about the death of Isaac and how his 2 sons, Esau and Jacob, bury him together, which means there was peace over there. And then comes chapter 36. Ve'ela toldot Esav hu Edom. And these are the generations of Esau, who is Edom. The name of the nation of Esau is Edom. Edom means in Hebrew, red. Red. Edom means the culture of desire to receive, the culture of the body consciousness, the culture of worshiping whatever is connected with the left column, the left side. Okay? But then, why do we need to hear this history? And especially at the end, the final paragraph. Okay? And the final paragraph is starting with on chapter 36, verse 31. Ve'ele hamelachim asher malchu be'eretz Edom lifnei meloch melech livnei Israel. And these are the kings that ruled over the land of Edom before there was a king for the children of Israel. Vayimloch be'Edom, and he starts the first, verse 32. Vayimloch be'Edom Bela ben Beor. And then the king of Edom was Bela, the son of Beor. V'shem Yiro Dinhava, and his city is Dinhava. וימות בלה וימלוך תחתיו יובב בן זרח מבצרה. Bela died, and instead of him came to power Yovav to be a king, Yovav ben Zerach of Batzra, and so on and so forth. And the question is, why do we need to know all of these details? What are you going to do with it? And here comes the most important study from this parasha. Why is it the most important? Let's start with a few essays, okay, in the Zohar. We'll start with the beginning. וישלח יעקב מלאכים, רבי יהודה פתח, כי מלאכיו יצווה לך לשמוך בכל דרכיך, היקרא וכמוה חוויה, דעה בשעתה דברנש, עתה לעלמא מיד יזמן בעדי יצר הרע. תהיו מקטרג לה לברנש תדיר, כמה דאמר לפתח חטאת רובץ, מהי חטאת רובץ, דע יצר הרע. Translation is bringing a verse from Psalms 91:11, and he will order his angels to guard you, okay, in all your ways. That's how it started. Why? When a person comes to the world, which means when a person is being born, immediately the evil inclination comes to be with him. And this evil inclination is the disturber, always. As it says, lapetach chatat rovest. As it says, this is written in Genesis 4:7. The sin lies in the opening. What does it mean? The moment the baby, us, is coming out from the mother's womb, in that opening, the evil inclination, the angel of death, is waiting. And he's joining us in the journey. He becomes a prime escort. Not even escort, it's like companion in our journey. And what does it do? It continues. As it says, Chatati negdi tamid, my sin is always in front of me. King David says that. Okay, this is from verse Psalms 51:5. Okay, because every day the evil inclination is there to bring us off the road and to make us fail ourselves and others and make mistakes. Okay, and this evil inclination never leaves us till we die. Okay, however, the good inclination is coming in only at our bar mitzvah or bat mitzvah. Which means if you're a girl, 12 years old, 12th birthday. If you're a boy, 13th birthday. This is the moment we get the good inclination. This is the moment we get that ruach, that spirit, that will push us to grow, to change, and to improve. Okay, so if the person, continues the Zohar, wants to, has the intention to purify himself, the evil inclination will surrender. And then the right will rule over the left. The good will rule over the evil. However, we all know it's not that simple. Okay? And therefore, these two are like two angels, the good inclination, the evil inclination. When the good inclination is in charge and is taking over and is monitoring the bad one becomes of service to the good one. And the result, it says, the two angels, those two angels, as we mentioned from Psalms, his angel will guard you wherever you go. Okay? So, why do we need the evil inclination? In the first place, why complicating it? Why making it so hard? Okay? And it says also, verse 6 in the Zohar Sulam, he brings Rabbi Yitzchak, פתח ואמר, כתיב, חונה מלאך אדוני סביב ליראיו, ויחלצם. This is from Psalms 34:8, and it says, this verse says, the angel of God camps around those loyal followers of God, the ones who are behaving with awe, Vayichasem, and he will always save them from any trouble. If you're God, why having the trouble in the first place? Why do we need to go if we are surrounded by good angels? Why should we find ourselves in a need for saving? Okay? Why do we need the Savior? So the answer is in the end of the parasha. Because the question, we asked that question a few weeks ago. Why isn't that so easy for Abraham? Why does he have to be afraid of Pharaoh's reaction? Why does he have to be afraid of the Philistines' reaction? Why Isaac has to be afraid of the Philistines and so on? Why Jacob has to be afraid of his brother? Why isn't that very common that the good ones, the righteous ones, why isn't that they take over and make the world so simple and beautiful and easy? Why does it have to be so complicated? And the answer is at the end of the parasha. And understanding the end of the parasha will give us the ability to understand the whole parasha and everything that we go through in our lives. So, if we remember, in the beginning, let's go back to Genesis chapter 1. And God created the heaven and the earth, right? And God saw it was good. And there was a night, there was a day, one day. There's no night and day because there's no sun yet. Only on the fourth day, the sun and the stars and the moon has been created. So what are you talking about? There was a night, there was a day. Oh, so the Zohar is saying, for a righteous person, a real righteous person, the night and the day are one. The moments they are in trouble, the moment they are in stress, the moment they face challenges. And you know what is a challenge? When your logic has no way to deal with the problem, it is a challenge. When there's a challenge and you know exactly what to do, it's not a challenge. It's just a task. Very simple task. I know what to do. Okay, I'll do this and this, and it's over. It's done. A challenge means it challenges our abilities to face an issue without losing it. That's called a challenge. But why is it that we can lose it? Why is it that we come to this world with the angel of death, with the evil inclination? At birth, the moment we get out of the womb, it's already a challenge. Why? Okay, this is the question. So the answer is, and that's to answer even more than that, because before the answer, I'll give you another challenging verse. Okay? Again, the question that we all asking, how come things are tough? How come you can't see the solution in the horizon? How come you can't see justice everywhere you look? Okay? And the answer is, okay, Zohar Asulam, verse 90. And it says as follows, ויאמר שלחני כי עלה השחר ויאמר לא אשלחך כי ברכתני. We are relating to the verse that says in the parasha that after Jacob is wrestling with the angel, with the dark angel, okay? And then it says that he cannot win, the dark angel cannot win. And then it says, okay. We're talking about chapter 32, verse 27 in the Torah. And the angel says to Jacob, send me away because dawn is rising. And Jacob says, no, I'm not going to send you away unless you bless me. Okay? So this is the verse. Rabbi Yehuda is starting to explain the verse, and he's starting with another verse. This verse is from no, he doesn't say where in the. I think that's from Song of Songs. Let me just check. Okay. That Song of Songs, yes, chapter 6, verse 10. And it says in that verse, who is that is being what's the word? Reflected like dawn in the morning, beautiful as the moon, clear as the sun, and powerful, and so on and so on. Okay? So, and he continues, Mikaza be'aru velamadnu. This verse we already explained, but there's another explanation. You know, every verse has many explanations. True explanations. Okay? Mizot anishkafa. Who is the one that is being reflected at dawn like the rising sun? These are the nation of Israel. When? During the time that the Holy Blessed be He will take them out from the exile. Then He will open for them a little gate, a little opening of a very thin light. Very, very thin, very, very small light. Okay? ואחר כך יפתח להם פתח אחר מעט גדול מהם. Then He will open to them another opening, a little bit bigger than that. And slowly, slowly, the light will grow bigger and bigger and stronger, till the Holy Blessed be He יפתח להם את השערים העליונים הפתוחים לארבע רוחות העולם. Till the Holy Blessed be He will open the upper gates for all four corners of the earth. Ela, however, it's going to be בדומה אל שחר. It's going to be like the dawn. שהולך ואור עד נכון היום. Dawn, you know, the amount of light is growing higher, but it is so slow you can't see the difference between 1 second to another. Why? It's gradual, slow, very slow. The sun does not just, the rooster is calling and then poof, the sun is up in the sky. No, it doesn't work like this. It's a little bit of light, and then more light, and then more light, and even the sun rises, it's partially, and then the whole sun rises, but still, because it rises, and there's more atmosphere between us and the sun, so there's less light, till the sun is really shining with its full power. It takes half the day. Okay? Why is it like this? פירוש, explanation. שלא תתגלה ישועתם בבת אחת. Their salvation, their redemption, would not reveal itself at once. אלא בדומה אל השחר, only like dawn. שהולך ואור עד נכון היום, it takes a while, the amount of light grows gradually. So we can't notice even the grades, the levels, till it's in the middle of the day. Okay. Then it's the strongest light. על כן נאמר אז עליהם, מי זאת הנשכחות? That's why it says about the Israelites that the Geulah, the redemption, will shine like dawn, little by little, in very tiny, tiny steps. You cannot even see when it's happening in front of your eyes. וכן, verse 91. כל מה שעושה הקדוש ברוך הוא לישראל ולצדיקים שבהם, הכל כן הוא שמושיעם לאט לאט. But it's not just about the redemption. It's also about the righteous people. When they are in trouble, they are being saved slowly, slowly. Why? Why not at once? בדומה לאדם הנתון בחושך. It's like a person that is for a long time in a dark place, in a dark room. And he was always in a dark room. שבעת שרוצים להעיר לו, but when you want to bring him light, you cannot just open the doors and the windows at once because the light will blind him this way. Okay? So what do? In the beginning, you open just a hole thick as a needle. So a very, very tiny light shines in. Okay? And then later on, מעט גדול ממנו, a little bit bigger than that. וכן בכל פעם יותר, so it's growing bigger and bigger, slowly and gradually. עד שמאירים לו כל אור כראוי. Because it will take time till the real suitable light will shine with its suitable power. Okay? The same is with the nation of Israel. מעט מעט אגרשנו מפניך, as it says, slowly, slowly, I will drive your enemies away from you. Not all at once. וכן, that's in verse 92 already. Slowly, slowly, that's from Exodus 23:30. וכן למי שבא לו רפואה, the same thing with somebody who's very, very ill, okay? And he gets a medicine, the proper medicine. אינה בא בשעה אחת, the healing does not come in 1 hour. Okay, but slowly, slowly, till the person is strong enough to stand on his feet and to realize, wow, it's behind me. אבל לעשו אינו כן. However, it's not like this to עשו. אלא בבת אחת תאיר לו. It shines to him at once. Okay? בבת אחת תאיר לו. ונאבד ממנו מעט מעט עד שהתחזקו ישראל. It shines to him, that's exactly the opposite. It shines to him at once, but then it goes down and down and down, giving Israel the ability to rise. Okay? And because it gets, ומשום שאיר לו בתחילה בפעם אחת, because it gets the whole light at once, you call it the instant and immediate relief or gratification. היה לו כיליון מכל, that's why he came to his demise. אבל ישראל, האור שלהם הולך ואור מעט מעט, but the light of עם ישראל gets stronger and stronger slowly, slowly, עד שהתחזקו. ויהיה להם הקדוש ברוך הוא לעולם, till they are strong enough, so the Creator can shine to them in this world. So what are we talking about? And how it's the connection to the kings of Edom? So we know in the beginning, everything was perfect. Everything was created in a perfect state. And that's what it says. And there was a night, there was a day, one day. Everything was one. No contradictions, no challenges, no surprises, no disappointments. Everything is there, available, the light in or within the vessel, and everything is perfect. And when we were imbued, fulfilled with that endless light of the creation, we received it, we enjoyed it, we experienced it, we experienced all the pleasures of the universe that the universe can offer, fulfilled. But then we got the nature of the light. We wanted to create. We wanted to be creative. We wanted to be independent, and we wanted to be sharing, to feel the sharing. And you can't talk about it, you have to create it. And therefore, there was the tzimtzum, the contraction, the light withdrew from the vessel because the vessels, our souls, did not want to have the light because I don't want it for free. I want to earn it by becoming a creator. Okay, so the light was gone. But the light, remember, is endless, and the light is shining endlessly beyond space and time, any dimension. The light insisted to come back, and we allowed the light to come in. But we, every time the light came in to the vessel rejected, pushed back, and started to create a whole new creation, which is based on one element, which is called the returning light. The returning light has become the only legal, cosmically legal, vessel for the light. The fact that somebody wants the light, wants pleasure, wants success, wants the power, the fact that we want it, we can receive it because the light is shining unconditionally to anyone. We can imagine and feel joy with the imagination of our success and our powers and our whatever we do. The problem is, it's inviting the light in without being a creator, without being sharing being. And therefore, as we said, whenever you want to feel good, we have to make sure that somebody else's good is being taken care of. When we do that, we create something that is called the returning light. And the returning light means the light we were supposed to receive because we craved for it, but we gave it back because we realized that just receiving is not going to solve our problem. Remember, our problem was when we receive the endless light, we receive it happily. But then we got the nature of the light, and the nature of the light is we wanted to become creators, we wanted to be independent of any gifts and favors. We wanted to be creative because that's the nature of the light. And want to be beings of loving, caring, and sharing. Okay? That cannot be achieved instantly. That needs to be achieved by being in the dark, having no light. And now the light is coming back, and we have to build the vessels of sharing in order to be able to receive the light permanently, that it will stay forever. Because as Rabbi Ashlag is teaching us, the only kosher legal vessel to receive the light is the energy that is created when we share with others, although we want it so much to keep it to ourselves. Okay? So, in the beginning, it was quite perfectly done. The light expanded, the vessels received, the vessels pushed it back, but who are you fooling? You know exactly what to do, you know how to create a returning light, whatever, but you're doing really nothing. So as the light was coming back to this space, empty void that was created by the tzimtzum, the contraction, the light was coming in and the sphirot started to evolve by that light. However, then it says, when it came to a certain level, the amount of light was so overwhelming. The vessels started to crash. And that is being explained in the parasha at the end, when it speaks about the kings of Edom, the 7 kings of Edom. One reigned and then died, and then reigned and then died, and so on. And all of this is about that as the light is coming in, and the light came into the upper 3 sephirot properly. There was a light coming in, there was a returning light, there was the inner light that fulfilling the sephirot, but it had to go down one step from Keter to Chokhmah, from Chokhmah to Binah. And when it comes to the lower 7 sephirot, the lower 7 sephirot could not create enough returning light, which means enough, a strong enough vessel that will have the ability to contain all of that light. So every sephirah that the light went into, reigned, which means came to power, and then crushed and collapsed because it could not hold that light. So those 7 kings of Edom that are being described over here, they're basically an allegory of the collapse of the universes during the creation. And what happened was, as those vessels died, as it says, crushed, that's how came to the world what is called the broken vessels. By the vessels, every death is a breaking. So every sephira was raised, crushed, and broken. So what happened? A whole system of broken vessels came to being. And that system is what our world is composed of. And because they are broken vessels, so they have holy vessels next to unholy vessels, all mixed up, which means in every action that we do, in that action, there is a connection to the 7 kings of Edom that died, because their sparks are always around, everywhere, all the time, and our major job is to correct those fallen vessels. How do we correct them? Every time we experience a surprise, every time we experience an event, an occasion, in which we realize here the Yetzer Hara, the evil inclination, is taking over, but I'm not listening to that. I stop the reaction. I'm connecting to the light. I'm coming from a place of the light, and if I can't, I try again and again and again till it's coming from a place of loving and trusting and overwhelming me power of grace that comes out of ourselves because we generate it. And then when we come from that place, the energy is ours, the truth is ours, the right decision is ours. We finally suddenly know what to do and how to generate a new state of existence. How do we know we achieved a new state of existence? The previous problem does not challenge us anymore. Why? We created what is called a tikkun. Okay? So when we ask the question, why is it that our world is so messed up? Why is it that it's so hard to overcome evil? First of all, the personal evil. Secondly, the evil around us. Why is it that Jacob has to bow down to Isaac? I'm sorry, to Jacob, to Esau. Why is it Jacob has to bow down to Esau? Esau is the bad guy. He's the villain. Jacob has to give him, should be like a duel in the Wild West movies or in any, modern movies about the bad guys hitting the good guys. I'm sorry, and then the good guys are hitting back and winning. It takes no more than an hour or two, and it's over. And you come out with a feeling like kind of a kind of fulfillment that finally the bad guys got it. And they were put in their place once and for all. You know what? Being spiritual, there's no once and for all. It's slowly, slowly. Why is it slowly, slowly? We are immersed in the ocean of broken vessels. Inside the broken vessels, there are small, tiny sparks of holiness. But there are also vessels of Edom over there, vessels of desire to receive for the sake alone of themselves alone, that are attached to the holy sparks. Everywhere we go, in every event, in every encounter, in every challenge, in every project, in every task that we have, It's a mixed vessels of purity and impurity, holiness and and uh, and defilement and negativity. You can see that in everything we do, and by our dealing with it with a proper way. What does it mean the proper way? We know similarities attract. When we encounter any kind of an event and it doesn't go smoothly, and we expect it to be like, that's not right, it's not fair. That is how we wanted it. So don't go with it's not fair. If it happened, it must happen. It had to be like this. Why? To give us the opportunity to deal with a story. So it's never a story of an enemy, an Isaf, a hateful brother that fell into the dark side, that is like now in the underworld, or is like, this is not the story. It's not a story about fighting the any bad and evil people. This is not the story. That's a cover story. The real story is you feel uncomfortable. It's because you're stuck in your body consciousness. You're stuck with your evil inclination. That's why you feel uncomfortable. But if you stop the reaction, you stop the impurity, you stop the chattering, the noise of I hate him, I can't stand it, should be okay, it's not fair. You're not a victim. You're not, nobody's your enemy, nothing. There's only one thing. You have to create light out of the darkness. You have to create good out of the evil. And how do you do it? When we stop the reaction, we stop all of those negative things about, how come it's like it's not good anymore again? Why does it have to happen to me all over again? The world has to become so perfectly easy and comfortable for me. It's not supposed to be. What are you doing here? Rabbi Isaac Luria Darizal is saying, Ein tikkun ela beguf. Tikkun can happen only in a physical body. And the body belongs to Isaf. The body is the Isaf side. The body is the broken vessels. That's the outer vessel of all that is broken. And whenever we overcome the victimization and the anger and the selfishness and so on, and how do we do it? By stopping the reactivity, stopping the noise of, it comes to me, it should be what. That's not the case. Stopping that noise and replacing it with godliness, replacing it with, this is what I have to go through. And right now, I have to generate loving kindness from a place of strength, faith, and power. This is what I'm supposed to become. This is the person I'm supposed to become. This is where I'm going to be, and that's what I want to be. And now, how do you know you reach that place? You want to know if you're on the right track? Love others as you love yourself. If you have unconditional love to the creatures and the creations of God in this universe, and suddenly you have patience, you reach out to a place in which everything becomes pure for that moment. Because you right now corrected a broken vessel. You elevated the holiness out from the impurity. You separated good from evil by separating your own good inclination from the evil, by disengaging from the evil, from the negativity, from the fear, from the anger, from the lust, and connecting to one thing. Jacob's thing. Man nora makom hazeh. How awesome is this place? Rabbi Ashlag explains what's awesome. Every place that has perfection awakens awe. Why awe? Because on one hand, it's so perfectly okay. That's the way it should be. On the other hand, you're not there yet. You're trying to get there. So you're becoming alert because you're facing that awesome perfection of a corrected vessel, corrected sparks. So we're not supposed to have it good. We're not supposed to have it comfortable. We're not supposed to have it simple and straight without any disturbances. It has to be slowly, slowly. Why? Because it's the only way we make the correction. If we have nothing to overcome, how do we correct? How do we rescue the lost sparks of the kings of Edom? We're not talking about the kingdom, we're talking about the kingdom of the Creator that is made of mixed forces, good and evil. They reveal themselves in any action that we make. When we overcome the fear, the pride, when we overcome the victimization, the despair, it's not fair, why should I even try? And instead of it, we create an awesome behavior with light and faith and power and certainty in the good. We just brought certain holy sparks out of their dungeon in the broken vessels of the kings of Edom. We created a correction. Okay? We brought the world closer to its destination. Now, but there's another thing about the broken vessels that the Zohar explains to us. Many times, everybody knows there are 5 levels of spiritual growth. Every child, according to Rabbi Yashlag, is born with the desire to receive for the self alone. That's in his words. The Zohar said, the evil inclination. How do you know a child is born with evil inclination? Whoever raised a child knows that. Only human young ones get themselves always into trouble. Animals, they don't, when they're young, they stay away from trouble. Okay, most of the time. Otherwise, they don't survive. But children, babies, it's like you have to watch them all the time. Their evil inclination is so dominant. And as you grow up and you start to communicate with the world, you realize that just being busy with your evil inclination is impossible. No one can stand you. And everybody wants to be accepted and popular and beloved. So you start to bribe people. You start with your close family, smiling, kisses, saying some wits and stuff like this to get the candy, to get the treatment, to get hugged, to be hugged, and so on. So we are all motivated to bribe people. So by that, we develop the second level, which is called the desire to share for the sake of receiving. What is it we want to receive? In the beginning, it's candies, ice cream, some snacks, a hug, whatever, all kinds of treats. And that's what it, and as we grow up, the treats are getting bigger and the bribe is becoming bigger. We're becoming, grown ups. We start to give more in order to receive more, right? You have to work harder in school in order to get grades, so you're being rewarded with an expensive gift, not just a candy. The older we grow, the more we give, so we can receive better rewards. Okay, and that motivates us, most people, till their death. Okay, which means all the good they do is only for their own good. But when you are bar mitzvah, you get your ruach, and you have now the ability to do it for a higher cause. But do you think that the child, the first day of after his bar mitzvah, when he lays the tefillin, when he reads from the Torah, when he does anything he does, it's all pure desire to receive for the sake of sharing. It's all correction. It's all holy. Of course not. It's also for a reward. What's the reward? Because you're doing it selfishly. Every mitzvah. We pray early in the morning. We pray the whole prayer. Why? Because today I'm so concentrated because I have a very challenging day. And I know there are many challenging encounters. So what do? You pray and you meditate with all the kavanah in order to create angels that will help you during the encounters of the day. That's wrong. That's selfish. What do you want? Do you think that a person can become from selfish to non-selfish and altruistic over 1 hour, day, even a year? What do you think? How does that go? Every action, you try to get closer and closer. In the beginning, it's for the reward. In the beginning, you lay tefillin, or you pray, or you do any kinds of mitzvot, Shabbat, whatever, just for any kind of reward that comes from either from society or reward that is coming from the holiness. You get some holy sparks from every action, not because you're a saint or a tzaddik, just because you were getting closer. And that's what allows what is called doing it not for its own sake, in order finally to do it for its sake, which means every mitzvah, everything in the Torah, everything in Judaism, everything in behaving as a human being, overcoming any challenge and becoming a better person. There are 2 levels of reward. There is the reward that is the primitive reward that every child needs that. Okay? You give chocolate to your brother, so you learn how to share. I'll give you more. Okay? So what do? You learn little by little to be there for others. You're doing it out of selfishness. But still, when you do that, out of selfishness, you are activating a broken vessel. Yes, there is a selfish, impure side to that vessel. Okay? But there's a holy spark in that vessel also. So that's why it says, HaMe'or sheba yachzireu lemotav. The light of the Torah and the mitzvot and the good actions will bring the person little by little into the right place. As we read, as the Zohar said, it's like dawn, little by little. You cannot become a perfect human being. So we have to understand that this world is not a world of perfect and imperfect, pure and impure. It's all mixed on the way. It's almost impossible to tell the difference. But as long as you know that you are selfish, as long as you know that you are not perfect yet, as long as you know that you have to make the effort step by step, get out of your comfort zone. What does it mean to get out of your comfort zone? In that moment that we really care for others outside of our comfort zone, we have the broken vessels screaming inside us. I'm not comfortable. Let's do what it feels like. Let's go with Isaf. But I still go. Why? I want a reward. I want to feel like a righteous person. I want a miracle to happen to me. And you know what? A miracle will happen, although I did it just for the reward. The Zohar is saying in the beginning of the introduction to the Zohar, there's an essay over there that speaks about the creation of Adam. And there's a legend that when God wanted to create Adam, he had a committee. 4 angels were in that committee: the angel of truth and the angel of peace, and there was also the angel of charity and the angel of chesed, loving kindness. And they were 50-50. Like 50%, the angel of peace and the angel of truth were totally opposing the creation of humans. Why? The angel of truth said to God, God, why creating Adam? Why creating a human being? He's going to be all lying. He's doing everything for his own sake, but he claims he's doing it for you. He's going to be lying all the time. How can you stand something like this? How can you stand a creature like this? Then came the angel of peace and said that, Hashem, he's right, the angel of truth. He will be lying to you all the time. And when things don't go his way, he's going to be fighting with you. God, I did all for you. Why do I deserve this and this and this? I'm such a tzaddik. Why do I deserve such treatment? Why the bad guys are harassing me? I'm such a tzaddik. That's not fair. You know what? That will make them hate you because they don't agree with the way you run the world. So why do you have to start with that? So Hashem said, okay, I listened to you. I heard you. He asking the other 2 angels, what do you have to say? Comes the angels of tzedakah and the angel of chesed. Both said, we know a human being will be full of lies. And because of that, he's going to be fighting with God all the time. He will always have complaints. Always he will have a better idea how to fix the world. He said, if I was God, I wouldn't do this way. God, you don't run it this way. You're always trying to be smarter than the Creator himself. But you know what? With all of that nonsense, with all of that chaos that people will bring wherever they go, sometimes they will do something good for others. Charity, loving, kindness to others. They'll do one act over here, one act over there. And every time they commit an act like this, because they help somebody else, even for only because they give a charity, because they want their name being written on the big sign over the building, they donated part of it. Okay? Not the whole thing. Part of it, but they want the sign as big as a building. And the angel of charity says, but still, the giving and the positive reward or the positive outcomes of their giving, because there's always whatever is in the effect must be included in the cause. Although they don't really mean that, but because they brought good to the world and people really have been uplifted from the darkness by their actions, the light that is going to be revealed is going to flow through their beaten up, bitter souls. And that light is going to start to purify them slowly, slowly. That is the story. And therefore, sooner or later, in the beginning, yes, every action will be for their ego, for the reward. They won't even be aware how egotistic they are when they perform the mitzvot of charity and whatever mitzvot of the Torah. But little by little, that light is going to be taken out of the sparks and fill them up and raise them to a place till finally they'll do it for its own sake, properly and exactly the way they should. It will take a time, thousands of years, but finally they do it right. What was the answer of Hashem? It says, "Vatashlech emet arza." He buried, it's in the book of Daniel, he buried the truth under the ground. There's no truth in this world. You can't find truth. You have one truth only. You are in the journey of revealing light, positivity, greatness, and chesed in everything you do, no matter what the situation is. Complaining that it's not fair, it's like feeding your dark side. It's like breaking the vessels even more and going drowning even more into the swamp of negative, uncorrected sparks of this reality. But finally, putting yourself together and doing something for someone else, even though you're expecting a reward from the person you help, from his family, from an association, or from the government, or from your teacher or your mother, or from the Creator Himself. By making acts like this, the light will flow through you because the broken vessels allow you, says the Zohar, to take actions that are basically selfish, but if you are meaning to connect closer to God, the sparks of light that will be elevated will slowly correct your intention. So if in the beginning it was not for its own sake, because you're a child, yet you're doing just for the show off, or you're growing up and you just do it for the show off to show God, look, I'm such a tzaddik, reward me. And God has the patience, and He will reward because you have the candies of pure sparks of light inside those actions that are not really altruistic. They're selfish. Laying tefillin, praying, saying Dana Bekoch with all your might. But just because you have an ulterior motive, that's okay. But don't expect that the light will come and shine all at once just because you have an intention to be a tzaddik. No, you're still in the darkness. It has to take time. You can't experience that light because you're mostly on the side of Isaf. So you have to acknowledge who is running the world. Your own Isaf. Who is running the governments? Who's running the big corporations? Isaf. And that's why you have to pray all the time. You have to be ready to bribe other people with gifts, with smiles, with kindness. They don't deserve it, but you deserve it. That's your way to make your journey. Every time you overcome the fear and you become a better presenter of holiness and love and light in this world. Even though you have an ulterior motive. But the more you get advanced, more light will come in. Okay? When Jacob finally meets Esau and he bows down 7 times, the Zohar continues explaining what happened over there because the Zohar is asking, how could Jacob bow down to an evil person? You're not even allowed to talk to them. But sometimes in order to survive, you have to negotiate with them. You have to respect them. But they don't deserve a respect. Who made you Hashem's accountant? Okay? Jacob is teaching us how to behave in this world. And that's why if we read the beginning of the parasha, we read the commentary of the Ramban, the Nachmanides. The Ramban re-established Kabbalah as a movement, as a way of teaching towards the end of the Dark Ages. He re-established that study was the first one of the greatest of them all. And he says, נכתבה הפרשה הזאת, this parasha has been written, להודיע כי הציל הקדוש ברוך הוא את עבדו וגאלו מיד חזק ממנו. To show that the Holy Blessed be He saved His servant and redeemed him from someone bigger and stronger than him. וישלח מלאך ויצילהו, and he sent an angel to save him. וללמדנו עוד שהוא לא בטח בצדקתו, and to teach us that Jacob did not trust being righteous. Him being, well, he's Yaakov Avinu. Well, who has more rights than Yaakov Avinu? No, he doesn't trust it. Why? If I have to encounter another uncomfortable event, there are more sparks that I have to elevate. And therefore I have to encounter it, and I can't come to the Creator. Why do I deserve it? It's not a punishment. It's an opportunity. It's a task. It's the project of Tikkun Olam, that each one of us is part of that project. And that doesn't exempt us. We cannot check it to see if it's honest or straight or fair or not. This is not an issue. The issue, you're facing it, do it with grace. Why? Because that's your job, as long as you're here on earth in a physical body. וישתדל בהצלה בכל יכולתו. Logically, it was hopeless. Jacob, with 4 women, 12 children, 1 woman is pregnant, and all of these flocks, how can he fight an army of 400 professional warriors? No chance. He didn't give up. He didn't go into despair. That's a tikkun. I'm going to do it with the best I can. ויש בה עוד רמז לדורות, but it's also a hint for the next generations. כי כל אשר אירע לאבינו עם עשיו אחיו, whatever happened to our father, Jacob, with Esau his brother, יארע לנו תמיד עם בני עשיו. It will always happen to us there will be always Esau's around. Always. וראוי לנו לאחוז בדרכו, and we always have to take his road of the tzaddik, that will bring ourselves to 3 things. שהזמינו את עצמו, that he brought himself. לתפילה, prayer as much as you can from the depth of your heart. And how do you start a prayer? First, thanking for everything you've got already till this moment. Being thankful and connecting to the greatness of the Creator. And לדורון, and being ready to give whatever it takes to the bad ones, to the evil one, it doesn't matter. Why? They're in control as long we did not correct all the fallen sparks. ולהצלה בדרך מלחמה, we have to be ready also for a war, because Jacob prepares for a war. He bribes Esau. He is praying to Hashem. He says, I pray, that's enough, it's going to be, everything's going to... No, he's realistic. He's trying to bring the grace of the prayer into the actions. He is giving gifts to Esau. Bribe. Okay? He is ready for war. Worst comes to worst, I have to be ready for that. Okay? Which means to fight, to run away, to save yourself. וכבר ראו רבותינו הרמז הזה מן הפרשה הזאת כאשר אזכיר. So our sages teach us that's always the way. So how does Jacob prepare for the war? I explained it in previous years, but on one hand, he's smart. He's saying, I lived with Lavan till now. And look what I've got. And he says, I have a donkey, an ox, a slave, and a slave maid. And on the outer face, it's like, okay, wow, you made it. On the other way, then says the Zohar, an ox and a donkey, a slave and a slave maid are the names of the 4 levels of the dark side. Esau studied with Abraham the patriarch together with his brother Jacob. They studied Kabbalah as kids. He knew exactly what Yaakov is saying. But it was a game of words, so he didn't know like he meant it or not. He said, basically what he said, if I got out alive from Lavan, the big warlock of darkness and evil, and not just that I get out of him alive with wife, all of that I took away from him. Esau is thinking, so this guy Jacob became even a bigger wizard than Lavan. Wow, he can kill me in an instant. So why is he sending me the bribes? Because people with ego, you can always bribe them. Because their ego is stronger than their mind and logic. Okay? When you are being possessed with pride and lust for stuff, you can always bribe them and save yourself because you know how they're being controlled by their own dark side. But you acknowledge that the dark side is still controlling the world. That person, and even in yourself. You don't think you're 100% a tzaddik or righteous man. I'm just on the journey. I'm just becoming aware how strong the dark side is. Only then you really start to be able to make a difference. When Jacob bows down to Esau, he's giving him so much respect. And the Zohar says if Esau knew what happens to him when his pride is getting stronger, wow, he's such a warlock, such a powerful warlock and a wizard, and he bows down to me. He's still afraid of me. Oh, okay, I'll let him go. The Zohar says if Esau knew what Jacob brought him into, he would kill himself just not to experience what Jacob did to him. Because his ego rose so much that all the light sparks that were left in Esau, he could have become Israel. But he lost that option to Jacob from that moment on. Jacob got that power on that moment because Esau was brave enough. And so what happened is that the Zohar says when you are trying to be decent and giving and sharing and honest with evil people, there are two options. One, there you strengthen their inner side. They don't deserve it, but you strengthen their own good inclination. And when you make it stronger, it will some moment overpower their darkness. And the moment they cross the lines and they commit to serve the Creator and do the same thing, which means, yes, it's not fair, it's not easy, but I'm still committed to the end to always be with the light, always overcome darkness and negativity, no excuses. The moment you did that, the Zohar says, you took a lost spark and you brought him to the light side. You are a creator. It's like you created that person because before that he was like dead. If people know how amazing the power is to save other people from evil, just being unconditionally loving to them. Why? It's not fair. This child is evil. Why are you so nice to them? You run after them, you're nice to them because you want to strengthen the positive powers inside them, to make them trust positivity and the light, the real truth. But what if your grace that you give them, says the Zohar, it's just giving them more power to be vicious and to stay on their side. Their positive light, all their lost sparks, will be transferred to you. So you have only one option to gain as long as you don't become them. This is the main learning from this parasha. Doesn't matter how tough it is, doesn't matter how terrible are the consequences? We have only one option. How do I get the light out of it? How do I turn the strongest pain into an event of saving light and sparks of holiness out of the darkness by sticking closer to the light? And that's being done. When we do that, we create a suction that lifts more and more lost sparks. And that's why the redemption, or every person's uh, redemption and saving, will happen slowly, slowly, because there's so many sparks that we have to save, that we have to uplift, to ascend, to bring up through our actions. Thank you so much, and good luck with the journey.